Weird. Did it really know FURRIES? Apparently it didn't. Sus energy radiating from that title. Wait until you see the thumbnail. Although actually the thumbnail is probably a little bit more holistic in energy. The derangement of making me have to do 50 billion hours of work dealing with the turkey. Talk about a starting stiff here. Something's getting plugged. Either it's your ears, your hearts, or your heads. And now for music, I will have this playing in a loop in the background, because it is my game file. I don't feel welcome. I don't feel welcome, or I feel in pain. More than usual. Where's my thing? Window. Right now, start off with the thumbnail, and I'm working on it. One of the older fan arts, and yuling it the fuck up, or at least putting it on a transparency so it can be more functional. I like my images with true transparency. I have to do it all freehand. Carl, are you coming out as a furry? Or do you mean otherworldly sinister? Wait and watch, and you're gonna regret asking me that question. Let's get some Yule from the internet. Yeah. I hate the fucking backgrounds. They got the fucking little ass shits in them. It's so fucking annoying. Why can't you just give me a background that has Yule, bro? This might work. And not if the black is prominent. Which means I might have to just rip it out. I'm out. True transparency now. Yes. The black filter will help differentiate it from the other textures. God damn it, I just realized this one has got... It does not be perfect, Carl. But it annoys me that I know that it's there. Transparency. name of this file? Carl blanket transparency. Carl blanket trans. That'll be funny later. And to find our folder you go. And back over here on this motherfucker. This one goes to the document folder or the actual video asset folder. Carl Buell. And then this gets into my other file. Efficiency. _Cringemas into actual video assets. I think that it should use a little bit more spicing up. Maybe some caffeine, some cocoa, but that'll do for now. Boom, boom, boom. And then I change the thumbnail. In the thumbnail, in the thumbnail. As we suffer together under the shadowless tree. And this goes here, and that goes there. And live stream link. kick. And then YouTube will do its own, I guess. This goes here. Yeah. Entertainment, source, everyone on broadcast name. Stuff you're selecting for cringe. And then post. This and this and this. Boom, pushed. And now this and this. That's live. And it just needs its name changed. All right, we begin. There is a versus chat for those that are lazy. And we are now live on all platforms. Okay, chat. What is the worst thing that she put here in this section? Ah, Dark Viper and Moliak is finally kicking off. Crazy. What are these? Am I blind? I don't see them. Wooden thread. From ink. Honey influencer scam. Willie Mac. Politic. Entertainment. Gaming. Tism Entertainment. Am I blind? Apparently I'm fucking blind. Okay. For some reason, I don't see the original gold mine, but it's fine. We're saved by the button. Okay, she has some choice suggestions, chat. 24 election is over and the results must be certified on I assume that's January 8th. The true way to get rid of the child sex trafficking in industrial complex. 3 reasons why trans rights are not rights but predatory privileges. 3 reasons why we should get rid of the deep state passionate rant. The truth about predator hunters from 1977 to present. 3 reasons why I'm starting to question porn addiction. In response to Gilded Pooh's failed character assassination attempt, that feeling when your ADHD and alcohol consumption is so contagious it rots your brain to this point and you just drool. My thoughts and opinions on the whole Kumar Jar and Cinnabear saga. If you can't take me out of context anymore, just flag it down. States of the Dramatic Fox, Gallagher the Just Derp, and Gilded Pooh. I'm assuming that says. My 2 cents on M. the Colth, North, the Child Predator. Well, let's just start at the top, I guess. Some of them are short even. Some of them are short even. That does not bring me joy.
Hi everybody.
I'm not hiding. I am not welcome. I am in pain.
I am Brian Mullins the Fox.
And I'm Carl, and I hate everything.
For possibly, if not the last Old Politics channel rant, not only for the month of December, but for the last time in 2024 altogether. And if that's the case, the next rant on this old rinky-dink channel will be in the new year of 2025. By the 17th of December 2024, all the electoral voters, Republican and Democrat, went to their respective state capitals and casted their votes. After the election results favored Trump with 312 electoral votes and Kamala Harris's 226. She did worse than Hillary Clinton, that's a fact. Donald Trump did far better than he did in 2016 and 2020. And despite this happening, nothing about widespread voter fraud or Starlink or any other stupid, retarded conspiracy theory about the 2024 election materialized. Yet, you'll still, on TikTok and other social media platforms, still see their version of Trust the Plan. Remember?
I see that we no longer question if Carl's becoming a furry, and now we're just in agony. You're not welcome.
4 years ago, when super ultra mega conservatards were saying that they have this plan to overthrow and overturn the election results, that there was going to be some kind of plan to try and reinstate Donald Trump and make him serve for another 4 years, then all of that was just a grift and a lie. Now fast forward to 4 years later,
Democracy is a grift and a lie, guys.
you still have the same shit, but it's not even anywhere near as effective when it comes to convincing idiots as it was last time, given how much it fucking backfired on January 6th, 2021, as we just entered into the 2020s. And yes, much to my chagrin and dismay, there will be people on the right who will still believe and still say that the 2020 election was somehow stolen, despite that claim alone being proven false. It wasn't stolen from him, he just sucked ass back then. And now with Trump winning his second and final term, hopefully he can blow out his own competition, as much as every turncoat Republican could still very much defy him and slow him down. Just because they're starting to be held accountable by people like Elon Musk doesn't automatically or always help assure you that things are going to run a whole lot smoother than they did during his first term. It might be just like his first term, but also there's an argument to be made that it could be far better than his first term ever was. But the whole...
I noticed that you're not calling him a fascist, Brian. I noticed that we're not prognosticating about the horrible rule of law that supposedly happened under Trump, where everybody was crashing, dying, and burning. Interesting. The internet cringe fox who believes that children had their asses eaten by their parents in a grand conspiracy around Christmas doesn't have the same viewpoint and opinion as brain-dead liberals who thought that the world was going to end if everybody didn't bloat VOO no matter who. The more things change and are crazy, the more they stay the same and change, huh, chat?
The whole point here is, it is over. The last step of this process is January 6th, 2025. 4 years after J6. And we do not want another one.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Because they're prognosticating they're going to try to fight against it. Remember, you're only allowed to have a J6 after you complete your cringing.
People are just raging and rioting, destroying property. That's also not to mention what the trans protesters were doing a while back this year. But hopefully it's nowhere near as bad as J6 was. It took them several hours, if not almost a whole day, to fully finish the process of officially certifying the 2020 election results. And after their so-called plan failed because it never happened, they started turning on each other. Some of them started calling the United States of America something else other than what it was named, like some corporatocracy or something. Some of them...
Excuse me, I've been told that because we live in one of the red parts that we now live in dumb Pakistan. And that America is only these blue hovels, except they're not blue hovels. They're blue city-states, surrounded in counties in seas and tides of red.
Still believe that there's widespread voter fraud and the election could be overturned as to its results. There's the whole stupid Maricopa County sham audit. There's Mike Lindell's sham symposium.
In every single one of those states you just named, there is literally a content creator, including that, especially from Maricopa County, of like the Razor Fists, that are just laughing and laughing and laughing. So surprising that you're able to keep this fucking shit contained 4 minutes and 40 seconds, but I'm sure the rest of those will be hour-long fucking catastrophes.
Still remember that, even after over 3 years since I last covered it. I wonder what the fuck the leftist or Democrat version of Mike Lindell's sham symposium, the Cyber Ninja's sham audit in Maricopa County is going to be. Trump won, Kamala lost. If you say otherwise, fuck off. You're...
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the first time ever, a furry said something that wasn't cringe, and was right! Hand claps, ass claps, Santa claps, name taps, cats, name facts, den facts. He's a 1 in a million. He didn't say something fucking dumb. 1 in a million. He's fucking grown. It won't happen again. I can promise you it won't happen again. It won't happen again, chat. It won't. Broken Fox is right twice a gay. Broken Fox is twice a gay!
Your opinion doesn't matter. You have no credibility. You're on TikTok. You're a moral fag. And may no one have any mercy on your soul. Alright?
Wow. He went to the nines on that one.
Right. For those who understand the facts on the ground, I hope we can get through the rest of the year pridefully. Have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully have a grand old fucking time after the holiday seasons are over, up to January 6th, and even up to inauguration on January 20th, 2025. I'm Brian Mullins, the Fox, signing the fuck out. Not just out of December, but of 2024 as well. Bye.
He did, chat. He had a fully 100% agreeable take. So beautiful! And now it's about to get ruined! true way to get rid of the child sex trafficking industrial complex.
Hi everybody.
I opened this in the wrong window. This one is also short.
Hi everybody, I am Brian Mullins the Fox. Welcome to the next Old Politics exclusive rant video. Before I talk about electoral voters counting in their votes for the 2024 election, we're going to talk about something deep. We're talking about getting rid of the deep state in the sense where we're also dissolving and getting rid of, you guessed it, the child sex trafficking industrial complex. But before I get to that, I have a theory. If we get rid of the deep state, and hence getting rid of all that competition in the midst and the wake of AI generated you-know-what, the only ones that will remain and the ones that we parents and people who had our trusts completely destroyed by the government can get rid of the 130 plus predator hunter in quotations vigilante groups. And that's all that will remain of this. 130 plus groups we can get rid of ourselves without needing the government to do it for us. And if by that point all the child sex trafficking rings in America are all gone so that countries can do the same and they'll be gone there as well, we can actually start attacking and making child sex trafficking itself illegal, and then going after what we can deem abuse material, child rape material, and then the problem will be solved once and for all, and it should be universal, and that predator hunters will never have to become a thing ever the fuck again. That is my theory, and that's what needs to happen not only in America but all around the world, and I can name many countries. America, Canada, Ireland, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Germany, Russia, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa.
Motherfucker, this is not Animaniacs, and this is not the fucking country song. Stop it.
France, Spain, Italy, and I can just name one more to drive my point home, Japan. Whilst the problem in this case is being solved, argumentatively speaking, we can then request and start doing more research on the real roots of pedophilia. And we can completely rule out any so-called CP, animated or otherwise, not abuse material, not rape material, because we would have already solved that problem beforehand, obviously, because it would have had completely fuck all to do with the person consuming said material. It would have been deeper than just the material itself, and it'll remain the case forever because real life actions are completely different and speak louder than the thoughts and desires of any human inflicted with a sick and twisted sexual preference slash fetish. And yes, people who call themselves maps are inconsequential, and it ain't a utopia, that's for sure. So in that way, nobody has to just needlessly rant so hard they'll just start projectile vomiting blood. With that tangent out of the way, not only is that my theory to getting rid of all predators around the world along with CST rings, but that's also to permanently get rid of predator hunters that are also part of the problem. We're all the problem. And the only way out of all these problems is through. I'm Brian Mullins the Fox, signing sequential, and it ain't a utopia, that's for sure. So in that way, nobody has to just needlessly rant so hard they'll just start projectile vomiting blood. With that tangent out of the way, not only is that my theory to getting rid of all predators around the world along with CST rings, but that's also to permanently get rid of predator hunters that are also part of the problem.
Okay. You just talk so fucking much that I missed what you said final solution is.
That we parents and that sex trap self and for all, and it should be universal, and that predator hunters will never have to become a thing ever the fuck again. That is my theory, and that's what needs to happen not only in America but all around the vigilante group. The theory in the sense where we're also dissolving and getting rid of, you guessed it, the child sex issue in the midst and the wake of AI generated you-know-what. The only ones that will remain and the ones that we parents and people who had our trusts completely destroyed by the government can get rid of the 130 plus predator hunter in quotations vigilante groups. And that's all that will remain of this. 130 plus groups we can get rid of ourselves without needing the government to do it for us. And if by that point all the child sex trafficking rings in America are all gone so that countries can do the same and they'll be gone there as well, we can actually start attacking and making child sex trafficking itself illegal, and then going after what we can deem abuse material, child rape material, and then the problem will be solved once and for all, and it should be universal, and that predator hunters will never have to become a thing ever the fuck again. That is my theory, and that's what needs to happen not only in America but all around the world, and I can name many countries. America, Canada, Ireland, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Germany, Russia, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, France, Spain, Italy, and I can just name one more to drive my point home, Japan. Whilst the problem in this case is being solved, argumentatively speaking, we can then request and start doing more research on the real roots of pedophilia. And we can completely rule out any so-called CP, animated or otherwise, not abuse material, not rape material, because we would have already solved that problem beforehand, obviously, because it would have had completely fuck all to do with the person consuming said material. It would.
I'm not hearing the final solution, dude. Am I retarded?
Have been deeper than just the material itself, and it'll remain the case forever, because real-life actions are completely different and speak louder than the thoughts and desires of any human inflicted with a sick and twisted sexual preference / fetish. And yes, people who call themselves maps are inconsequential, and it ain't a utopia, that's for sure.
Okay. Since you're not making your point clear, let's try and work this the fuck out. You believe that maps are still inconsequential to the greater solution of solving the problem of keeping society safe for children. That's clear. Follows through with everything else you've said in all your other videos that we've seen on this channel. You want to remove the thoughts from actions. Okay. I'm opening up Obsidian. Brian. Okay, so you want to make society no longer have pedophiles, and you want to remove pedophile hunting from existence. You don't specify whether or not you're talking about specifically what you titled this video about, the sex trafficking industrial complex. I need a circle. I need lines. So, you want to stop sex trafficking. There's a K in here. Why am I retarded? No, I'm not. So, you want to stop sex trafficking, but you also want to sort out the maps from the criminal element. You still think that fucking Japanese and you still think that Japanese proclivities map on this Western sex crimes. Meaning loli, shota, or ow, my neck. It should be you. There you go. Believing that loli, shotas, and dojin mangakas map onto Western sex crimes. Right?
AI generated rid of the 130 plus predator hunter in quotations. By that point, all the child sex trafficking rings in America are all gone, so that countries can do the same and they'll be gone there as well. We can actually
You still don't explain how you're gonna achieve this.
talk about electoral voters
I
counting
wasn't
in their
paying
votes
attention.
for the 2024 election. We're going to talk about something deep. We're talking about getting rid of the deep state in the sense where we're also dissolving and getting rid of, you guessed it, the child sex trafficking industrial complex. But before I get to that, I have a theory. If we get rid of the deep state, and hence getting rid of all that competition in the midst and the wake of AI generated you-know-what, the only ones that will remain, and the ones that we parents and people who had our trusts completely destroyed by the government can get rid of, the 130 plus.
Okay. Now I see the problem. You're blaming the government! Okay. So, you want to stop sex trafficking, but you also don't want to sort out maps from the criminal element, because supposedly, maps are inconsequential. You think that the Japanese proclivities of the shit that they do in their pervasive standard of private and public culture maps onto Western sex crimes, and you think that getting rid of the government, because you said deep state, will stop that flow of sex crimes. This is probably the most retarded thing I've ever heard a person say into consideration of trying to prevent sex crimes. What the fuck does the state have to do with sex crimes? And how does the state compete, air quote, with sex crimes?
Predator hunter in quotations, then making child sex trafficking itself illegal, and then go.
Brian, child sex trafficking is already illegal. Are you insisting that the government is responsible for the sex crimes? That they're kidnapping children and they're paying proxy groups like NS13 to go about and commit the crimes and then post it on the dark web where people buy it with a sanctioned US filter? I don't think we need to go any deeper in that. We don't need to go any deeper than that. We're just gonna pull this frame over. Hold on, that's the hat table. No, he was not ran off. Not hard enough. Not nearly hard enough. We're just gonna... I'm gonna scroll over and go to the next video. Because there's 50 billion things that are wrong with that. Yes. Fucking... Well, we found the retarded shit. Okay. Next. 3 reasons why trans rights are not rights, but are predatory privileges. I opened it in the wrong screen again.
Hi everybody.
Oh god!
Collins the Fox.
You can't jump scare us with your face like that! Jesus. Jesus fucking wept. Well, he definitely hit something. I don't know if it's puberty, but he definitely hit something. Our good old resident fat twunk has become the generic serial killer. Keep in mind, you just went from seeing what he envisions himself as here and now he's just fat Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't understand why it's happening, but it hurts my soul. Why is he in a basement? I don't know. There you go. Brian Mullins is all grown up now, boys. Don't let me stop you, gay furries. Have at it. I heard y'all like this type. Hora's gonna feel nice and warm, cackling with her booze. You're here forever, chat. No, there's been pictures of him before, but younger. But this is the worst we've ever seen him. I wonder, why was it important for this video for you to not use your profile picture?
And for the first time in a long time, I'm recording a rant video, but also showing you my face. So
We preferred you not! It was better the other way around! Put this bag on your head! Why are you showing us your face? At least your face now matches your voice. It's not all bad.
So, I'm going to go off the cuff about so-called trans rights and why they're anything but rights. Firstly, it's a privilege.
Twitch, I disavow. Twitch, I disavow. That Twitch, I disavow. I disavow. Twitch, I disavow. I do not support or endorse the beliefs of Brian Mullins the Fox. We are just documenting. I am a journalist.
It violates the paradoxes of both bodily autonomy and bodily integrity because...
Okay. Write that down. Oh my god, I just realized he's using the fucking Evangelion font. Anyways. Say it again, Brian.
Paradoxes of both bodily autonomy about so-called trans rights, and why they're anything but rights. Firstly, it's a privilege. It violates the paradoxes of both bodily autonomy and bodily integrity because nothing ever comes without consequence. For example, hormone therapy, when it comes to transitioning for both adults and even kids, have the following side effects: blood clots, weight gain, acne, hair loss, liver damage, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stroke, heart disease, certain cancers, dehydration, high potassium, increased urination. Other side effects of hormone therapy include gallstones, dyslipidemia, elevated liver enzymes, polycythemia, infertility, type 2 diabetes, and nipple discharge. And you wonder why bodily integrity and autonomy in this context is a paradox. You can't have it either way without violating the other, or you can't have it both ways.
And this is completely outside of the fact that kids should not be trans. And trans kids should not exist. Ooh. Just gonna transliterate that. And this is completely outside of the fact that kids should not be trans, and trans kids should not exist. It all stems from a complete lack of sexual education, enabling gender dysphoria, the very issue that came with being trans. Okay. Let him cook. Let him burn it. Let him burn it. Let him cook.
Altogether, this is why not only hormone therapy, but gender reassignment surgeries for both kids and adults should be illegal in all 50 states. It just has to be. Because if you're putting your so-called autonomy over the integrity of your body, you're violating bodily integrity. If you're putting bodily integrity over your so-called autonomy, you're violating so-called bodily autonomy. And that demonstrates itself as the first reason why trans rights, in quotations, are not rights. They are predatory privileges.
Wonderful. Also, this is not the natural Belacher OST. Those of you who have been watching me play this game enough know that this is not the natural sound. This is a music alteration.
And the fact that any state would have it legalized for kids to go through this process, whilst also having puberty blockers right by their side, is a disgrace. Not only to this country and the world, but also to the human race. Which leads us to the second reason why they're not rights.
Ooh, he's burning!
Here we go. This is gonna get a little spicy here. Brace yourself.
What's wrong with his mouth? I don't see anything wrong with his mouth, other than the fact that his beard doesn't properly match up to the top of his upper lip here. As you can see, my mustache goes all the way around, and even though it has less hair on one side compared to the other, you can see that at least this part fully properly connects. Whereas his is missing some fuzz right there.
Helps. You have a right to not hurt yourself. You have the right to not harm yourself. You have a right to oppose anything the government forces you to fucking comply to or steals your taxpayer money for, instead of actually repurposing that money for more important things than trans rights or abortion, which also isn't a right because it's a privilege. Stop confusing privileges and rights. They're not the same.
Nobody on this earth was born just destined to be raped automatically for the sole purpose of having to be forced to get an abortion, not because it's liberating, because if they don't, they die. This also goes for children as well. Let them cook! Let them cook! Let them cook! But did I miss number 2?
They're only necessary in cases of rape and incest. But should anyone go through that just for the so-called right to have an abortion? No, they don't have to. It violates bodily autonomy and bodily integrity. 2 paradoxes at the same time. In order to protect your rights, you must also have to violate them. And you wouldn't want to do that, would you? You shouldn't. And the final right you have is the right to keep and bear arms in case if a rapist tries to fucking rape you. Or, in this scenario, in this context, protect your children alongside yourself so you can save more lives than just your own. You know,
he's for gun rights, but especially if not only in the instance to stop you from taking a penis. And he holds a gold. He supported gun rights. Let's go. He supported gun rights. Let's go. They get there in the end. They get there in the end.
you have to be selfish to protect the ones you've sired into this planet, because that
only the ones you sired, not the ones that you love. Only the ones that you. Oh, okay. Still, he got there. Gun rights for what you've spawned. Since women can spawn, women should have gun rights. Let's go. So based. So based. So based.
that's your right as a parent. And if I ever become a parent, I must acknowledge that. So, to recap,
If I wanted to fuck you. No. No. Stop it. You're being ridiculous. Stop.
trans rights aren't rights because, number one, they're privileges, predatory ones at that. Two, you violate both paradoxes at the same time, whilst also abusing the term rights and confusing them with privileges. And three, the very rights you do have, such as free speech, the Second Amendment, which protects you when it comes to owning guns and protecting yourself from very predatory predators, be they sexual or not, and not just defending your life, but also saving others, even if it means pulling the trigger. And that is pretty much it. And yet,
Okay, this time he recapped them for us, chat.
become a parent, I must acknowledge that. So, to recap, trans rights aren't rights because, number one, they're privileges, predatory ones at that. Two,
Okay. Trans rights are not rights, they're privileges.
you violate both paradoxes at the same time.
Okay. So this is actually number 2. But the way that you listed this when you said 3 reasons, you made it sound as though that does not lead into why it's a reason. Okay. Number 2. It violates the paradoxes of bodily autonomy and integrity.
Whilst also abusing the term rights and confusing them with privileges. And three, the very rights you do have, such as free speech, the Second Amendment, which protects you when it comes to owning guns and protecting yourself from very predatory predators.
Predatory predators. Is that like a category of super predator? Does it scale up like a Power Rangers Megazord? Does it become like an Omnizord, an Ultrazord, like an Omnipredator, a Super Predator, an Ultra Predator, an Omega Predator, a Yoctogram Predator, a Zeta Predator. How many layers do we go? How many layers deep? Hey, let's start over from the beginning.
Violate both paradoxes at the same time, whilst also abusing the term rights and confusing them with privileges. And 3, the very rights you do have.
This is gonna be a long one.
Such as free speech, the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Which protects you when it comes to owning guns and protecting yourself from very predatory predators, be they sexual or not, and not just defending your life, but also saving others, even if it means pulling the trigger, and that is pretty much it. And yes, you know my stances on abortion and so-called trans.
Okay, I don't understand how 3 is a reason, because you need to be like, why is trans right a predatory privilege in number 3? The rights that you do have is not a reason. This is like the reasoning for why it would be. Brian, you've given me 3 things that are supposed to lay out why it's a problem. You said trans rights are not rights, they're privileges. Okay, what's the reason? It violates the paradoxes of bodily autonomy and integrity. That's literally only one explanation that came along with your reasoning. Your fatwa on why trans children should not be a societal norm. And then you gave me a justification that's roundabout in itself to stop predatory predators. Brian! This doesn't make sense, Brian! 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 Okay. We've got another one less like this. 3 reasons to get rid of the deep state. Brian, this is not a good track record, Brian. Brian, you're making my head hurt.
Hello everybody, I am Brian Mullins the Fox for an unscripted, unscheduled Rant Archive exclusive rant video about 3 reasons why we
Rant Archive exclusive rant video. I see you name your video segments the way you name predators.
must and should abolish the deep state and gutter out the entirety of the federal government. Number 1.
Libertarians stand up.
1. The deep state, the FBI, the CIA, and federal government are in charge of all black markets.
I am still wondering how the fuck that makes sense. Let's just go ahead and scroll right on down there. And, what? I think you're gonna need to show me some proof of that.
The deep state and gutter out the entirety of the federal government. Number 1. The deep state, the FBI, the CIA, and federal government are in charge of all black
All of that would be considered the deep state, you jackass.
markets.
Okay, can you quantify the statement, Brian? Can you quantify it, Brian?
Concerning all types of black market type content, be it explosives, illicit drugs, and other.
Okay. explosives, drugs, apparently children, etc. You know.
Drugs that would have been made legal and the black market obsolete there.
Okay, so here's the problem with your statement, right? The deep state is in control of the black markets, including explosives, drugs, and children. Because of what you said in your first video. That you have to get rid of the deep state in order to be able to truly do away with sex trafficking. But then you said drugs, and you didn't just say drugs like Schedule 1 drugs. You said drugs that otherwise would have been made legal. And the problem with this, Brian, is that this is what scheduling is for. Because most of the drugs that are considered illegal to the point of not being able to distribute them are drugs that can cause serious health issues. If notwithstanding. Okay. Okie dokie. So, ayahuasca. Cactus drugs. Peyote. Psilocybin. Some of these things, like psilocybin specifically, they only give you a trip. And yet some things, like the over-the-counter medications, can actively cause brain damage and cell death if taken in too high a quantity or an amount, which is why many of them require a doctor's prescription. Do you understand how retarded what you just said is? Probably not. I'll explain. If every single drug that you claim the government is keeping away from people are drugs that are otherwise would have been made legal, does that mean that because it was legal that it means that it's safe? Obviously not. Now, should a person be able to get their hands on a drug that can immediately destroy their brain chemistry just because you think that it should be legal? Assuming that they're aware of the problems, which is the biggest problem. Many people probably would not be made aware of it. I'll phrase it another way. If Joe Rogan took it as a drug and then talked about it on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, do you think that that's going to stop people from potentially destroying their own mind in pursuit of a higher high? Because I know for a fact that they're going to destroy their brains. And that doesn't explain all the other things. There are so many things that you could have said that the deep state is in control of, that they are able to traffic on the on the black market, on the dark web, or rather the deep web. Which is the difference between the Quill Internet, the deep web, and the true dark web. You didn't say anything about assassins. You didn't say anything about organizing hits and trades for the explicit purpose of keeping the optics of America's hands clean. You didn't say any of that. So, like, that's crazy. The fact that you are pseudo-including children into this is also crazy. Like, one of these things on the list is not like the others.
Porn that is not safe for life.
That's called snuff. You want the government to not keep people away from snuff films? Ryan? Don't you think that goes hand in hand with the sexual trafficking trade, since those who are being trafficked usually are the victims upon which make the snuff material? Ryan! Ryan! If they create the snuff, it's the same as creating child porn! So you want the government to not regulate people who are going to produce actions that require the committal of a crime in order to produce. Fuck the drugs right now, okay? Listen to me, Brian. In order to have a snuff film, you need a victim to be recorded experiencing the action that is hurting them. And then that recorded medium be produced and given to people. By doing so, you create a piece of material that is as illegal as showing a person who is 17 but not quite 18 years old committing sexual acts on tape. And you think that the government shouldn't have the ability to control, regulate, and stop that. Pain. Pain. I have to clip it myself because I can't say that everybody else is going to clip it for me.
Etc. When you get rid of their control and the opportunity for them to run those child sex trafficking rings, the far more likely that you would make their competition obsolete, so that the competition...
You see, if you get rid of the deep state, you're going to stop the porn. And the drugs, and the crime, because there'll be one less competitor in the ring. Congratulations, you were able to stop the US government being able to control the deep state, the child sex trafficking, the child porn, the production of the child porn, the production of the snuff material that probably also involves adult and child porn. However, it has been taken up by the entire state of Guatemala. Where do we find these people? No, I didn't find Brian Mullins the Fox, okay? Horror found Brian Mullins the Fox. And she found multiple channels that he apparently has. But it's okay. Because we're here to cringe.
They took down are gone as well. And with the advent of AI generated you know what, these anti-CP laws would be...
Okay, so here's the problem. Understanding that child porn is bad, even if it's digitally created and there is not even a child producing it, it's the fact that an image of a child is being used to create material that specifically only is wired for a certain person to consume. Whether it's AI generated or there's a real person doing it, the intent to create the image for its consumption is the problem. Brian.
Obsolete, because it would be pointless for any creep or pedophile to go to prison for life, all because they beat their meat and flicked their bean to AI generated you know what that involved no real children or minors to begin with and were not manufactured by any of these child sex trafficking rings that exist today, whilst they, as in the government, FBI, CIA, etc., lets actual child rapists off scot-free because they know if they get rid of their competition, them competing would be completely pointless from the start. But you don't see the FBI, CIA, the deep state, and the government go after themselves. Of course not, because they are the rulers of that corruption. And if you simply strip them of their own rule, the rule becomes obsolete, and the domino...
If you strip the government of their rules, the rules become obsolete, and thus the problem stops. Said the furry, who doesn't know a damn thing about how power loves a vacuum.
Those come tumbling down, and then would commence the snowball effect, where even the most prevalent and vocal anti-CP person would be outed for simply having it, and once they're in prison, they'd be arguing against the bills they once supported because they make no sense, and created said black market for such shitty material that no eyes should see or no pedo should even wank to. Or in other words, make what is considered more legal so then you'd make it obsolete. So it would no longer be necessary to maintain or make and create such black markets for that shitty material to begin with. The same should go for all drugs and anything that was made illegal, and hence a black market was created as a result, so that we do take all that power that was stolen from us back to us, and so we have control of not just our own children, but the capabilities of preventing them from being raped or trafficked in to begin with. Especially if it's through the FBI, CIA, deep state, or government. And those that argue otherwise, when their parents doing that, should die in a fire. The next reason why we should and need to abolish the deep state is so that we can hold ourselves and the government far more accountable than we ever did in our lives. Plain and simple. We never took ourselves and the government at the same time accountable enough for decades. And once we do, it'll start dawning on you and how we trusted the government and ourselves too much in the government and for far too long. And we just let the government and the deep state become corrupt pieces of shit and called anyone who believed that the deep state exists a bunch of conspiracy theorists.
We let the deep state become pop. Yes, he has multiple channels. We let the deep state. We allowed. We let the deep state become powerful, he says. There's just so many pedophiles in power. If we just prosecute them, we can defeat them and their predilections by using the laws that they wrote, because they don't make sense. Say it with me, chat. You cannot break the house of the master with the master's tools. This is not real. It's not real. It's not real!
Despite it being a conspiracy, it's true, the deep state does exist, and we are the problem, and we are to blame for supporting the deep state indirectly.
How do we support the deep state indirectly? How do we support the deep state directly? It exists in a place where we can't access it, because to access the deep state, you must already be in power. We're getting to that. We're getting to that good, sweet, delicious. What the fuck are you talking about, cringe? Mine deeper.
We should be on the same level of accountability as the government, if not a little higher and sometimes a little lower on other issues. Simple as that. And 3,
Ryan, we live in a representative system. In order for people to be able to be aware of the deep state, it requires them to be able to access the deep state. To access the deep state, you need to already have access to the inside of the structure of its design. It was designed to stop the normal American from being able to have a say on it. That's why it's the deep state, and not the local Y.
As in, the last reason as to why we should get rid of the deep state is because we create too many complexes. The child sex trafficking industrial complex. For one example, you can't just have your cheese pizza and eat it too, because if you ordered a deep dish in this sense, metaphorically, not literally, you wouldn't have a deep dish. You'd be in deep shit. You can't just get rid of the other side of the competition and not get rid of yours. It wouldn't be fair play or a fair game. We should hold the government accountable for all its unnecessary spending on shit that doesn't matter or is inconsequential. And
I don't appreciate your attempts to try and make it sound like cheese pizza and deep dish was alluding to a little boy's butt. You nasty.
there are countless examples of the government doing that shit. Instead of building better roads, infrastructure, getting rid of public education, whilst placating private education, you spend it on inconsequential shit. Like I just said, we need to stop doing that. Stop intervening in other countries and fix our own shit, etc. And so, that concludes the semi-short rant. Fuck the government, fuck the deep state, fuck the FBI, fuck the CIA, and fuck any retard who argues that we shouldn't get rid of the goddamn deep state. And most importantly, fuck the child sex trafficking industrial complex. I'm...
So much emotion. Big feels. Big feels.
Brian Mullins the Fox, signing out. See you next time.
Brian, those are some big words, but that doesn't mean shit. For reasons that have already been described to you before. That people have told you to your face before. That I said to your face in your own comment section. That's so stupid. Getting rid of the deep state is as simple as just taking their power away. Yes, yes indeed. And the lich that lives underground, that lives directly underneath the king's castle, just allows people to come to his crypt. It just allows them to pull him out of his crypt and allow him to antagonize them. Yes, yes, that is something that they definitely do. Yep. Just build back Eternia better again. Lord have fucking mercy, dude. No fucking way are you real. No fucking way. Oh my god. Certainly it can't get any worse with the origin of predator hunters. Ah, fuck me. It's the goddamn fucking music again. I am not listening to your fucking fanfare about yourself.
Brian Mullins the Fox. As I'm looking back at LFC 1, I just had an epiphany that fully processed in and through my head. And yes, this is a scripted Rant Archive exclusive rant video.
Rant Archive exclusive rant video.
This isn't about drama, given that there is none other than what I'm going to talk about in the drama archive, maybe in a couple weeks or so, as things fully develop. So, for those of you who are very sensitive to the truth or find the truth to be a cognito hazard, click off the video right now. But if not, and if you're really curious and interested about what I have to say here, stay tuned. Predator hunters, be they on the internet, the IRL vigilante groups of 130 plus, and those fans of predator hunters on both planes of existence, basically came from the 1970s. You know, right around the time when the FBI, government, and CIA targeted anyone with what they called CP, which that itself as a term, when you translate it fully and know what it actually stands for, spits in the face of victims of not only child sexual abuse and child rape, but completely trivializes any strategy as to actually getting rid of these rings without these fuckers wanting to compete with them. Because here's the truth. They want to be involved. They want to become the next predators, and I'll explain that part in a little bit. But predator hunters that typically have either an FBI or CIA complex all the time came into being as a thing for one reason alone, and that only reason is this. Not only does the government, FBI, and CIA not want to solve the actual issue of child sex trafficking rings and child rape/abuse material long after that, they're the ones running them. They want to run the rings so that when the original predators, molesters, and monsters that used to run them are, well, run out of business, they get to sexually exploit children themselves by peddling abuse and rape material that's falsely touted as quote-unquote porn, and let the lesser monsters face prison time themselves for the sake of keeping these shitty policies that did nothing to stop them alive. The government made themselves somehow far fucking worse than the already predatory, monstrous child rapists and abusers who use these rings to actually record their abuse.
Boy, am I happy that I opened it. So, we went from you want to stop sex trafficking and you don't want to sort out the maps because you think the criminal element of their behavior is separate. You believe that getting rid of the deep state is a part of this. And now coming to at least a full circle on why he thinks this. These three videos are linked. These three videos are linked. And you think that the deep state is responsible for these problems. I cannot believe you believe something this fucking radical. It's unbelievable you believe this thing that's so fucking radical. It's like, because one leads into the other, it leads to why the opinion makes sense in his own head. So like this one actually predates the rest of them. Because without this logic, you're not able to make sense of the other logic. I have to make more space. So, you think, Brian, you think that predator hunters exist to control the market of child porn so that the deep state can control big rape? What? And I cannot say enough! The fuck?! This is beyond pants on head stupid. Far beyond pants on head stupid. And he says it with such confidence. I can't fucking believe this shit. I can't fucking believe this shit, bro. I can't fucking believe this shit. Oh, God.
To actually record themselves being raped. That's not porn, you fuckers. That's not porn at all. Including and also imprisoning those who never sexually abused a child in their lives, i.e. lollicons, shotacons, and cub artists, typically. Not every pedophile.
Ah, you see, we have to free the little cubs. The cubs, you see, the cubs didn't do anything wrong. The Cubs are not responsible. You guys are imprisoning just young little fucking fets and foals that they just want to bounce around and bounce around and bounce around. They did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. I'm in pain. I'm in Spain. I'm in Spain.
File fucks a kid. A very small percentage of them do. But that has nothing to do with what they consume as material at all. That's exactly what I am saying, and you heard it right. Predator hunting, as cringeworthy and pretentious as it is also basically someone, LARPing as such, sexually fantasizing about wanting to prey on and molest children for the sake of going after child sexual exploitation. Being the better villain does not a hero make. It's the most predatory sexual fantasy towards children, so much so that anyone who argues against predator hunting itself as a shitty practice or as a LARPy hobby is falsely accused of being a pedophile themselves, even though you aren't even trying to compete with them on any other level than an intellectual one. It's to the point.
Why do you think you need to compete with a fucking pedophile on an intellectual level, dude?
Where these Pred Hunter fans I mentioned earlier are so terrified of facing criticisms against predator hunting and predator hunters in general, they project onto those critics of said behavior by accusing them or implying that they're obsessed with talking about this shit in a negative light, and therefore they must be a pedo, and they label you falsely a pedophile out of projection. That also means that overall, I've been falsely accused of being a pedo for bashing predator hunters and shitting on their practices in general for almost 2 years. And yes, it is a black market for a reason. Just like how the war on drugs started in 1970, instead of actually keeping any drugs legal and then letting illicit drugs be phased out on their own through means not of a black market itself, but to the opposite of one.
In order for you to have any kind of system of a market, Brian, you need to have regulation. Your take to try and regulate out drugs by just letting people get fucking catatonically destroyed mentally to the point that they can't function as human beings and are now drooling fucking amalgamate golems walking about the people because their minds are coked out as bad as a fucking resident on the D train in New York City. It is evil. It is tacitly evil. You are hoping to put people at the risk of consuming something and hoping that other people regulate the shit out. I'm sorry, not everybody has a fucking herb book to be like, is this mushroom gonna give me nightmares? Is it gonna immediately shut down my liver? Let's give it a lick. Nobody has the ability to do that all the time, Brian. And I don't believe that you've been called a pedophile because you've been trying to challenge pedophile hunters. I think you've been called a pedophile because of your fucking takes about the consent of children, the consent of animals, the consent of children and animals, the fact that children should be taught sex by their parents to the point where they give them live demonstrations for them to take notes from. I think that's the reason why people have been calling you a pedophile. Because in your brain, you think, I'm fighting the deep state. I'm not competing against them in the marketplace. I'm just competing against them intellectually. I'm intellectually outpacing the American government. Because I know your secrets. Yeah, sure. Big feels. Big feels.
A free market. They made it a black market so that even more illicit drugs get a free pass, while there must be something wrong with the rest of them somehow. And that even when these cartels are gone by their own logic, they're the ones still running them, and therefore they're not gone at all. It's made no difference. Getting rid of these cartels by going after the actual crimes that are being committed for the sake of trafficking in and selling these drugs because the war on drugs and the government made it a black market. That's why the drugs won anyway, despite the government's efforts. Even though the war on drugs itself is still ongoing for the most part. If those nasty predators aren't running those rings anymore, who in the motherfuck do you think are running them now, huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. Here, I will play you a clip of LFC1 to drive my point home. Why would it matter if porn wasn't real? Why would parents, the government, the FBI, and others be fooled by the human traffickers to believe that it's real when they're not technically making porn as it is. It's worse. Because firstly, children cannot consent, but back in the day, they sold themselves for the sick and depraved sexual desires of a few handy men.
Where were children legally selling themselves and their bodies, dude? What world? When? Where? When and where? When and where?
Even when parents foolishly believed that porn actually depicts reality, why the hell wouldn't they have an axe to grind if it being sexually suggestive or not didn't matter? If the main issue wasn't but child sex trafficking, why ban it? They should have made it impossible for them to use children for their sick and twisted sexual desires before they went and banned altogether. Because to be frank, that is the reason why predators are hard as balls to get rid of. None of these standards were ever set in stone. Predators and pedophiles have existed long before the 1970s. The only reason why human trafficking isn't taken as seriously as people would have you believe that they are is because had they helped get rid of these human trafficking rings by keeping fictional legal, not illegal, would have been completely irrelevant.
Very interesting that you're dropping the fucking word child porn when you've said it so freely in other videos. Why would you do that censorship, Brian?
Relevant as to the real intentions of these human traffickers. But with that being said, the problem wasn't that these human traffickers were creating the it's not even considered porn because porn is fiction. They were recording themselves raping minors, and these minors and or children having this happen to them because by your own logic, if you were to call this quote-unquote it would have to be real in the sense where
what we're basically saying is that if you agree that CP should be illegal while trivializing the rape, you're normalizing the behaviors of predation against the intent that you were trying to argue against. No! You... No. 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 No, Brian. No. Cannot normalize deviations of human pathology because they are inherently abnormal. Therefore, you cannot normalize behaviors and predation that you are supposed to be arguing against, because you would not be arguing in favor of diddling little Timmy, because you have no reason, if you have normal pathology, to diddle little Timmy. If you have abnormal pathology to diddle little Timmy, you're gonna try to diddle little Timmy no matter what you do to rationalize what you're doing is not diddling. Period. My man. The fuck is wrong with you, Brian?
In your weird, twisted, demented alternative to reality. They can consent when they can't, and that they actually orgasm to this when they're not. They're forced to this against their will. They have to react this way because they're being forced. That's not pornographic. That's actually counter to it, which is disgusting and depraved. It's against their will. They have to react this way because they're being forced. That's not pornographic. That's actually counter to it, which is disgusting and depraved beyond all fucking doubt. That if I had a gun, if you came to my house, hypothetically speaking, and you actually believe that porn is real by your own logic and tried to come near my child with the intent to cause any bodily harm, including rape, there's no doubt that I would shoot you. But of course, that's only a last resort. Child rape is not the same as because unlike porn, the rape is real. There is no orgasm. There's only hurt. There's only violence. There's only endless pain to endless trauma. So the truth is, these pedo rings and child sex traffickers exist because they themselves wanted the government and parents to believe that porn is real to justify their beyond sick and twisted actions towards these children. They wanted the government to ban child permanently so that people couldn't bother to tell the difference. So when they did all of this, they knew the government will let them get away with worse and charge/prosecute anyone for anything less than what they've done to children.
They wanted to penalize people, so they banned abuse material so that no one would have a standard to judge it against. This is quite literally some Count Frollo shit, bro. They wanted to normalize the behavior and material, so they banned the material so that nobody knew how to recognize what child porn is, so they could be able to send people to jail for trying to copy what they were doing. There's no fucking... No, bro. There's no fucking world, dude. Dude, there's no fucking world, dude.
Even when they're all gone, so that getting rid of them is actually counter to the actual problem they pretend to even care about solving, which is child sex trafficking rings, pedo rings, and not. They succeeded for the most part because, like I've said before, lollies, cubs, and other CP enthusiasts exist, but you don't see them having sex with children at all.
That's a nightmare statement. This was an actual sentence that he just fucking said.
So that getting rid of them is actually counter to the actual problem they pretend to even care about solving, which is child sex trafficking rings, pedo rings, and not. They succeeded for the most part because, like I've said before, lollies, cubs, and other CP enthusiasts exist, but you don't see them having sex with children at all. This is objective proof that prohibition doesn't work.
Ironically, this is proof that prohibition doesn't work. Let that big man beat his meat to little Susie. Real shit!
They banned alcohol during the Prohibition era from 1920 to 1933, and look what came out of that. The mafias of the 20th century, with their bathtub gin. They banned marijuana.
Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn. Alcohol is not the same thing as child porn.
And other drugs in general throughout the ongoing drug war since 1970, the last year of the 60s. And look what came out of that, and look what's coming out of it now. Drug cartels are getting worse. Now, ever since 1977, they banned child pornography in general throughout the coming decades, and look what came out of that. Pedo and child sex trafficking rings and child predators abroad. It's impossible to learn if either everyone's a hypocrite and allows worse types of fictional porn, or that hurting children doesn't have to be their main concern in order to push their fucking disgusting, sick and twisted political agenda. So when we made illegal, we put our trust and control in the hands of the government, which they gave their trust and control in the hands of the child sex traffickers, pedo ringleaders, child predators, and sex offenders abroad. We are to blame, not them. It's not their fault that we're not only fooled, but morally stumped, even though they are beyond monsters and predators. We did half their job for them, so that even when they don't exist anymore in the future, if we made permanently illegal, we would be tearing each other apart and taking each other down, and there would still be more and more of them. Why should I trust a parent that absolutely trusts the government blindly, only for that same government trusting predators and child sex traffickers, and they still exist, only to act like the issue's been solved when nothing happened and nothing was solved? It only creates what I can call a trust struggle. Anyone that suggests that we should ban all porn, much less permanently, is not only unironically the most pro-pedo people ever, but also bigger degenerates themselves than a run-of-the-mill pedo could ever be. Why the fuck would the government, as in the FBI, CIA, and politicians themselves, make something illegal if they weren't the ones replacing the original ringleaders and members themselves?
Again, stupid, dumb, retarded, dumbo. No. Just because somebody wants to ban the power structure of a pedophile ring, a drug cartel, or illegal contract scams does not mean they want to replace them and take over their structure and business. The same holds true for rape, snuff, trafficking, and general violence against humanity that's recorded for profit. Every single time you say, because you're trying to get rid of it, it means you're trying to replace it, makes you look so fucking dumb.
Why would they have to go through all that trouble to ban the so-called porn when all they could have done, actually, is legally and with such aggression go after child sex trafficking, child rape in the more indirect way, and then not have to worry about making it a black market by banning any material until those rings are gone? How about that for a change? What's wrong with seeing these ringleaders and members tearing the fuck out of each other and killing each other or having us kill portions of them and bring back and rescue these children and find where they came from, where they've been, and determine whether or not they were family members or just random children that were picked up off from the streets. We could have saved a fuckload of lives, we could have saved a shitload of money, and we could have saved decades of generations from the shitty mentality that basically created predator hunters, both fictitious and real, and was what brought us Chris Hansen, predator hunters online like Caswar Fox and Lio Convoy, and pretty much
Lao Convoy is a fucking pedophile hunter the same way that he's an internet father. No way! Fucking joke.
the great American melting pot of content surrounding and talking about groomers, why they tend to want to or send nudes of themselves to minors or children.
Yes, absolutely. The Great American Smutting Pot. The Great American Smutting Pot.
And what that has to do with why predator hunters are a thing. This type of content is something that predator hunters cannot handle not having a good share of or a slice of the pie. One can't exist without the other. If we did...
By this logic, you're claiming that the pedophile hunter group that was responsible for the exposure of shit, I believe it's Alex Rosen is his name. You're claiming that Alex Rosen wants to do away with pedophiles because he's secretly a pedophile and he's just removing the competition from the market. When I served and did what I did on my stings, and then working for the Labor Department to place at-risk youths and adults that needed a leg up to get back on their feet, all I was really doing was I was trying to remove the pores so that I could be poor. And I was hunting those predators because I was a predator. I can't, bro, I can't. I fucking can't, dude. Oh my god. And tape in mind, chat, we only have more of this to go. There will be more in the morning. There will be more of this in the morning. Multi-parts of cringe. Multi-parts of cringe. We're almost done with this video.
All of this time all over again, we would reverse all the damage we've done for almost 50 years, and when you go back in time after that, I'm not saying you will or can because you can't, alternatively, these predator hunters would have never had to be a thing in the fucking first place, and vice versa.
So there should have never been a police because by trying to police crime, you're just making crime more prevalent. And why would the police want to get involved with the crime? By stopping it. They clearly just want to replace it. Every cop is dirty. Every pig is dirty. Well, I want to eat dinner, so 1 hour and 34 minutes is a good sampler. There will be more in the morning. You're not in control of this, Pip. I am! Which is to say that horror is, because she's applied it.
None of us gave an actual fuck about the real issues, such as child sex trafficking even.
True. Interesting. Nobody gave a fuck, except for all those people who did give a fuck. You know, the ones that are trying to make it stop.
And though we should have. Same goes for child rape, and even that we need to draw the line I kept alluding to in LFC 1, between what is fiction and what isn't. Because according to people who support predator hunters and the content thereby, no matter where, it wouldn't be capitalistic enough, or it wouldn't benefit us in any way. All that these fucks cared the fuck about is getting involved for the sake of getting involved, even if it means replacing and becoming the very predators they were supposed to fight vehemently against and not replace. And the mentality and the strategies behind such predatory behavior or fantasization of predatory behavior is the worst strategy ever devised by any human being on the planet since 1977. All because of a documentary talking about child prostitution and what they recorded as abuse material. And I know that this is by far the most uncomfortable topic I ever had the displeasure of having to go back to talking about, because so many people are so fucking retarded that they can't even interpret anything I say without it being dismissed as incohesive gibberish or gobbledygook or something I can't.
Because it is incohesive gibberish and gobbledygook, you fucking...
even understand, even though you can and should understand, given that you should not and can't take it out of context to then make that point. But with all that being said, I'm Brian Mullins the Fox, signing out. This rant was way longer than I thought it ever had the right to be. See you next time.
Kappa. Not a good thing, fucking Brian. Alright. So, on top of being flashbanged by what he looks like, in his wisdom of wisdom, Brian Mullins and Fox gives us that good old fucking old down home fashion cringe. Where according to him, if you try to stop people from doing child porn, it means you want to replace them. And the only real way to replace and stop things is to get rid of the deep state government. Because they themselves created the predatory hunters so they could exploit children and protect big rape. Alongside his facial flashbang about why children are not trans and why there is no such thing as trans rights but predatory privileges that allow them to violate another person's bodily harm and integrity. Other than his deep avowment that the Second Amendment, that 2A is legal and important, I think we have gotten to the point where he does the exact same shit he's always done. That's going to be great for us to get through in the morning, but we're coming up on 2 hours, so we're going to leave that for the morning. I don't know if I'll be doing it through all of the nights, but we will have more of this. Because boy, there's a lot. Horror brought a lot. Anyways, I'm Carl. Should you wish to support the Negrohood, fund your entertainment, become a part of the Negrohood, secure your home lease today, and get a condo on the block so that you too can support the things that you wish to see, because a Carl is a terrible thing to waste. Goodbye, chat. I'll see you in the morning. It will be more of this. Oh my god.